Hey, my name is Lizzie Smiley, and I absolutely love helping people connect with their calling and all the tools they need to kick roadblocks and excuses right out the door so they can cultivate the life they dream about. If you want to launch, grow, pivot, or scale your Etsy shop, or you've always wanted to develop the mindset and skills to run your own business, then I'm your girl. I've had that entrepreneurial spirit going strong since my very first lemonade stand, and now I'm a work-at-home mama with multiple online companies and a full-time Etsy shop, all while being present with my kids for the everyday chaos and most important milestones. On this podcast, we'll talk about all things business, mindset, Etsy, creativity, dazzling our customers, and so much more. There's plenty of room at this table for you, so scooch on in and let's go. I'm holding nothing back. Welcome to How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. I'm so glad you're here. Hey guys, welcome back to the How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy podcast this week. I'm so excited you're here, and I'm so excited about all of the new faces, all of the new folks who are considering Etsy. This episode is going to be amazing for you. If you're new, it's going to be amazing for you if you've been here, because who does not love a success story? And what I love about Linda is that she's not so far ahead of a newer shop that it's not relatable. She's having an amazing degree of success, but she's just 3 years in, and I'm really excited to introduce her to you. So let me give you a little of her background. Linda graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi in 1979 with a BS in computer science. She worked at NCR Programming Computers NCR is the company, Program Computers for 23 years. It's so funny to think she went from programming computers to such a creative outlet. I love it so much. She has one son who is now 35 and lives in Dallas. In 2001, she left her job and opened a Merle Norman cosmetic and day spa in South Florida for 9 years. Again, what a pivot. We love it. Unfortunately, her husband passed away from heart failure at that time, and then she remarried 5 years later to the love of her life. She sold her Merle Norman and managed her second husband's medical practice for 7 years, and then they recently moved to Southeast Alabama in 2019 to be closer to her husband's son and grandkids in Birmingham, and also to her son in Dallas. And so she started a beading blog in 2019 just for kicks because she loved beading. She has a funny story that she's going to share during the episode, and created her bead board out of her own necessity. And it's now taken on a life of its own. And there's a blog called comebeadwithme.com where she shares everything beadboarding. And so today we're going to hear her story of how her Etsy shop got started, what it's doing today, and the things that she's learned along the way. And I'm really excited to share it with you. So please help me welcome Linda to the podcast. Yay! Hi, Linda. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Lizzie. Thank you for having me.
I'm ecstatic to have you, and I'm really excited about your story and your product because it's unlike anything we've ever talked about. So, you're a podcast listener, right?
Yes, I am. Definitely.
When did you start listening to I always call us the in email, it's the HTS family. I need to start telling you guys that on air. When did you start listening?
Oh, probably about 9 months ago is when
Okay.
I found you. Yes.
Were you just looking for, just kind of looking around for resources, or how did it come to be?
I think I was looking specifically for Etsy, and I think you were, suggested as another podcast to listen to. Previous to that, I listen to like generic online
Marketing and
podcasts, but nothing that was specific to Etsy. So, and I have listened to a couple of other ones, but you have to find somebody that you click with.
Yeah.
You have to find somebody where you like the sound of their voice, you like what they're talking about, so many things and so I just loved your topics, and what you had to say just really resonated with me. And so I've just been, and then I would go back and listen to a lot of the episodes that I missed and just keep on going.
Well, thank you so much for that. And you guys should know that Linda's here because there's in the show notes, there's a link where you can apply to be a guest. And that is how Linda and I found each other, is she applied to be a guest on the show. So that is completely awesome. I do want to ask, have there been any episodes that just you always think of that really jumped out at you that you remember? Or
so one that I think about and is the duo you had on for the print on demand podcast episode. I call them a duo because they're not really a couple, I don't think. The guy and the girl, they were just super. They were so great that they had me thinking, wow, what could I come up with as a print on demand product that I could put into my shop, and so that one comes to mind a lot.
Was that the
Um,
Printify episode with, was it, because I'm thinking that's like one of the only two people that came at the same time to talk about print on demand. It was like actually the people at Printify, it was Leah and Talish.
I think they were from Printify.
They weren't? Oh my gosh, I'm so curious who it was now.
I'll have to look it up. But anyway, that one. And then you recently had a lady on that does wreaths,
Okay.
and
Tina?
uh, I just thought, her story was great because
Yeah,
she started making these wreaths, and then and wreaths are not like everybody makes wreaths. Like that's not a super niche product like mine is.
right.
And she's killing it
Yes.
making these wreaths. I just thought, wow, you go girl. That
So if people are listening, it's Tina Pagliaro. It was a few episodes ago. I'll have to try to remember to link these. Oh my gosh, that was a random question that I just pulled on poor Linda. She's probably like, really, Lizzie, you're doing this to me, but I had to ask because it's so fun. It's so fun to hear what resonates with people. It's always different.
right. Yeah. And the one about the print on demand, the reason why, and this is going to jump ahead to one of your other questions, but you have to, I think one thing that I would say to other people just starting an Etsy shop or whatever is you have to have a plan for
Mm.
your business, and don't get sucked into what's the hot topic of the day if it doesn't fit in with your business. So I listened to that episode and I thought, wow, let me see what I can come up with, right? And I'm spending 2 weeks trying to, playing around on Canva and everything. And then finally I just stopped and said, Linda, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like
Shiny object syndrome.
this is not, yeah, shiny object in the room. This is not moving your business forward.
Yeah.
It might help somebody else, but not you. You need to stop and refocus on what you need to be working on, which is my business plan and my product. So, but it's interesting to hear how other people are being successful, you
Yes. I
know.
always learn. Like, even if it's something I would never want to do, I always learn something because the way that they think about it and articulate it will somehow relate to what I sell, what I do, and help move me forward because it gets me out of my own, like, how do I want to say this? Like, you know how you just get in your same thought cycles in your mind, and sometimes you just need a totally fresh perspective to be able to get to that next level. So I love that.
Absolutely. That's why I'll go back and, like, if a topic generally might not interest me,
Yeah.
but if you listen to it, maybe there's some little tidbit in there that you didn't know about, or something that will just strike you in a different way, and you'll think, wow, I could apply that to my business, and maybe that'll work for me. I listened to something. It was a tale, and I was scrolling through a podcast, and somebody said something about. I just heard it. This would be a good Etsy Plus shop, and I went, Etsy Plus. I don't even know what that is. Like, I've had an Etsy shop for, I don't know, 3 years now. What's this Etsy Plus she's talking about? So there's just so much out there that you don't know, you don't know. So
Yes.
that's why
And
I
and
like.
for those who are wondering the same thing, Etsy Plus is where you can actually, for your Etsy shop, you can pay, gosh, I haven't done it in a while. I think it's $10 or $12 a
It's
month.
$10 a month.
And then you get some listings for free, like they come with it. And you just get some other features where, so I haven't even looked at it in a while. And did you remember, because you just looked it up, what
Yeah, I
else? Like,
just looked at it. You get a couple of listings for free, and it was something about they let you put categories into your header.
oh, that's what it was, right? You get to structure your shop storefront differently. You get some extra choices there for customization. I did this in my sign shop a few years ago. I haven't done it in my print on demand or any of my digital shops, because they're just not making the money yet for me to want to spend that every month. But that's right. That's what it was. So I don't even know why someone would have said that would make a good Etsy Plus shop. It's a choice that anybody has, and all it does is open up some other options for you.
Yeah, I don't know either.
How
I
funny.
have to
No,
research it some
I'm
more.
so glad you said that because it gets us out of our own mind cycle. We want to get to know you today, Linda. So tell us your story. What is your background? How did you get into making bead boards of all things? This is such a cool niche. Like I've never seen this before. So tell us, I love what you're doing.
Okay, so I started out as a computer programmer.
No way.
I know, my bachelor's degree is computer science from the 70s. I graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi in 1979 and programmed computers for 20 years. And I absolutely loved it. And that was back in the day when we actually programmed down and dirty. It was, it's hard to describe to, people that don't understand it from those days, but it was a lot of fun. I really liked it. And
Linda, have you heard of the company Kronos?
no.
Okay, because my parents owned a company where they did computer programming in that time frame. So I just
Oh,
had to
okay.
keep
Yeah.
keep going, but I had to see if we had that connection.
Yeah. But 20 years of corporate life, for anybody who's ever worked for a corporation, you feel like you just can't take it anymore. All the structure, the whatever. And I decided to quit that job and I opened a Merle Norman Cosmetics and Day Spa in South Florida. And that was just a night and day kind of a thing. I clearly did not make as much money at that, but I had a lot of fun with it. And I had a real sense of community with that store
Oh,
because I belonged to the Chamber of Commerce. I belonged to charity groups. I knew everybody. It was in a little community in South Florida. I knew everybody in town. And it was just really a lot of fun. I got really involved in my community that I would not have done otherwise. And I sold that. And about a year later, my second husband is a doctor, the person I'm married to currently. And he was having a hard time finding an office manager. And I needed a job. So I said, I'm just going to take over running your office.
wow.
And I did that for 7 years, not knowing anything about running a medical practice. But so those were my three previous careers. And we decided to move to Southeast Alabama from Fort Lauderdale in 2019 so that
Wow.
we could be closer to his son lives in Birmingham and he has two little ones, our two grandkids. They're now 6 and 4.
Oh,
And we just wanted to be closer to them. And plus my son is in Dallas. And so we're closer to him. And so we moved up here to Alabama, and I knew I wouldn't be able to find, we're in rural Alabama. I knew I wouldn't be able to find a manager's position, making any kind of money. So I had started a blog probably in 2018 with the goal that I just thought, when I retire, I'll have this blog and maybe it'll make a couple $100 a month in passive income. And that would just be some great supplemental income for my husband and I, in our 70s and 80s or whatever. And the funny thing is, you're always talking about niching down.
yeah.
And I started a general craft blog. It was called
Is it
thecraftingqueen.com.
still up?
No.
Okay.
And I kept hearing people say niche down, niche down, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, I just wasn't making any sense with me. And then one day, after we moved here, I wanted to start gardening because in South Florida, it's hard to garden, but here in Southeast Alabama, gardening is, year round kind of a thing. And I
Wow.
was
Cool.
looking for blogs on specific to this kind of climate. And I was having a really hard time finding something. And then one day I found a great article talking right to me about gardening. And I thought, oh, finally, I found a website that's exactly what I was looking for. And so I clicked on the next article, and it was about snacks for your kids for after school. And the next article was let's sew this cute little purse. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, there was not another gardening article on the entire website.
Oh,
It
wow.
was
Yeah.
just a
Just what they were
general
interested in. There was no thought to the
nothing.
audience.
And
Yeah.
that's how it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
If you have a general crafting website and somebody clicks on your crocheting article and your next article is about sewing, they're just going to leave. They don't care about any of those other topics. So that's when I knew I had to pick one. And I had started beading a couple of years before that, and in beading there's not a lot out there on beading jewelry. So that's what I went with. And called that, if that website is still up, it's called comebeadwithme.com. So the bead boards came about because my husband and I would travel back and forth to Birmingham to see the kids. It's about a 3-hour drive. And I had this plastic tray that I would bead while we were driving. And I had this plastic tray, and every time he would hit the brakes, the beads would go flying all over the car.
No.
And I told you my husband is OCD, and he was freaking out. Like, where are those beads going?
Everywhere, dude.
Everywhere.
How big of beads are we talking about, Linda? Are we talking about like tell me.
Teeny tiny. I mean,
seed beads? No.
teeny tiny. And then
He needed therapy from just that, right?
he did. And then when I needed something, like let's say I ran out of a bead color or I needed my scissors, I'd be, down trying to find something in my tote. And I just thought there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. So I went online and I knew nothing about bead boards, but I found a YouTube video that showed you how to make one. And I thought, wow, this is really cool because they're expensive. They're expensive to buy them.
Okay.
And so I took a basic bead board and I figured out a way to add a drawer to it so that you have all your supplies right there with the board. You don't have to go digging around in a tote bag. And I figured out a way to put little divots or wells in it so that you have a place to put each bead color. And I created a lid for it so that you can put this lid down over the board to keep all your beads protected. Like in the car, when you stop for a rest stop, you can put that lid on it and then just stick it on your seat and not worry about, is everything going to spill out? So I had at that time about 500 people on my email list from the beading blog. So I worked with a couple of them, sent them some free boards, and they just thought it was great. And took off from there. I was selling the boards on my website for probably the first year.
Wow. Okay. So on your website, and you were basically using influencers to help, like, to get traffic to it?
Using social media and my email list.
How did you find those how did you get people on your email list?
From the website. I probably just mostly through social media.
Okay.
Pinterest was,
Pinterest. What else?
Pinterest and Facebook.
Okay, but you were so niched down that people found you because thank you,
Yes.
Google, and your SEO would have been perfect because it was so niched down. That is amazing. I love that because so many people say, myself included, I tried to sell on my website. I had crickets, which is what brought me to Etsy to begin with.
Right. Well, how I ended up on Etsy was I was talking to somebody and I said, I'm thinking about starting to sell my boards on Etsy. And she said, well, I said, what do you think of that idea? And she said, well, your people are on Etsy already, right?
Yes.
They're on there looking for beads, patterns, etc. So they're probably searching for bead boards on Etsy and you're not coming up. So they're buying somebody else's bead board.
Smart friend.
And I thought, I think you're right. So, so I thought, okay, on a whim, I'll just throw them on Etsy and see what happens. And that was 2 years ago. And what's happened is all of my sales have migrated off my website and onto Etsy.
Oh, wow. Pros and cons. Okay.
So yeah, so even though people find me on my website, they will go to Etsy to purchase it.
Interesting.
And I think it's because they're on Etsy already buying stuff, and they like the security of purchasing through
Sure.
Etsy.
You might
And
pump your pricing up a little bit on Etsy if you haven't already, though, compared to your site. Make it a little more.
yes, so the difference I have is I charge for shipping on Etsy because my boards are expensive to ship, and
Yes.
I don't charge shipping on my website. I all of my social media goes to my website. I don't send anybody to Etsy,
Sure.
but they all
Oh, interesting.
they
They
all
end
end
up
up
there.
there anyway. So,
We'll take what
I
we can
don't.
get, right?
Sorry.
We'll take what we can get, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love it. If there's so many pros and cons
yes.
both ways.
Yeah, make sure you're using that share and save program for sure. If you're
Yeah.
sharing us. All right, friend, this one is for my people who want to build and scale an Etsy shop for physical products. You may not know this about me because I've run and talked about all different types of shops since launching the podcast, but I actually got my start on Etsy in physical products, and to this day, I consider that my expertise. My very first Etsy business was a handmade shop for wood signs that my husband and I built, painted, boxed, and shipped. And we ran that puppy for 6 amazing years and made hundreds of thousands of dollars with that shop. I will never forget it. I'm so grateful. I know what it's like, and I know how to build a successful handmade business. It can be really hard in the beginning, especially because the physical part of the product creation takes up a lot of time and energy. And then you have to pair that with like having to develop the actual skills of getting people to buy them. It's a whole different mammoth of a ball game. So if that is you, you're planning a physical product shop, or you've got one that's not getting the results that you want, you need my flagship Etsy course. It's called Listings That Sell 2.0. And I will literally teach you everything I know, every secret up my sleeve, and the entire strategy that I used. And now hundreds of other students have used as well to get sales on Etsy. We're going to talk about how Etsy works and how to leverage the algorithm, how to find pockets of demand so that you don't list your products and just get crickets. I'm going to teach you everything about SEO, or search engine optimization, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm going to show you how to use the right words on your listings to make sure that they get seen by shoppers. We're going to talk about product photography tips, shipping, pricing, shop setup, legal and tax basics, and so much more. You're also going to get access to my private student Facebook group, which I am in every single day answering questions, and we support and celebrate each other all the time. So, bottom line, if you want to make this Etsy thing work for you, I have over 20 hours of training waiting for you so you can master the Etsy marketplace or fill in any gaps of knowledge that you need. Or if you are strapped for time, which is 100% where I'm at right now, and you just need the bottom line, I've provided a fast track roadmap so you can get through the most critical lessons in under 5 hours. If you are ready, let's do this together. I'm going to hold your hand. You can visit the link in the show notes to learn more, and I will see you on the inside. You know what's so interesting, Linda, and because we want to protect your conversion rate, and for those of you who may be new, when I have guests, we don't typically share their Etsy shop unless they're so big it doesn't matter. Because if a whole bunch, if I mean, thousands of you listen to this podcast, there are about 500,000 downloads on it. Like every week, thousands of people. So if every single one of them, or if even 10% of them went over to someone's Etsy shop and they were not a massive shop, and then they didn't buy because they were just going to kind of look around and learn, it would tank their conversion rate. What that would do is tell Etsy, oh, all these people are coming to the shop, but they're not buying anything. So we should stop showing it to people because it doesn't make us money. And so for Linda, we're going to give you her website so you can go see what she does. And I don't even remember why I got off on that. But so the point is, you're not going to be able to go look at it. But I want to say this thing. When I went and looked at Linda's shop, what I love is that she's keeping it so simple. Like, your photos, your bead boards are on a plain white background. Like, honestly, it's nothing like mind-boggling. Like, if you're looking for a bead board, you're going to pick out in the search results, oh, there's a bead board, but you don't have these like insane pictures. You don't have lots of bells and whistles. You're just like, here's the product. And I'm going to be very point blank at what it involves, and you're going to have what you need, but you're not trying to be flashy about it. Whereas so many of us need to be, but the reason it works for you, Linda, is because you're so niched down. And that's like one of the main things I really want to convey about your story. That's so cool is if you really, as an Etsy seller, find your people, you can make so many, and I'm not saying you're making mistakes, Linda, but a seller can make so many mistakes. You don't have to be like, don't spend hours and hours on branding. Don't spend hours and hours on perfecting everything. Get your shop up and going, because if you're really niche down and you really understand your audience because you are them or your end customer, you're going to make sales. Like Linda's killing it. And she's not doing it. I love that you're keeping it simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just had the thought that if you come to my store or you see my listing and you think, what's that? You're not my customer.
Yes, right.
You're not, you don't know, you don't make jewelry, you don't know what a beadboard is.
I don't even need you seeing my listing. Like, I don't even, right?
You're not, I mean, because it's funny when I look at my search terms in Etsy, they always have some weird ones in there. Because it's a beadboard with a cover, they have me, one of the search terms was ironing board with
Oh,
cover.
okay.
So I know that it shows up in other searches that are totally unrelated, but those people, I'm not trying to win those people over to my beadboard. They'll just pass on. But if you bead jewelry and you see one of my boards, you know right away what that is.
That is so fascinating. So, okay, we already know how you decided in your niche. You decided because your OCD husband. And P.S. If I'm going to have an OCD person, I want it to be my doctor. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to put that out there. How did you know that there would be like enough demand? Like, were you wondering if people would find you, or were you just like, I get, how did that affect your thought process?
So at that time, it didn't, but it does now. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is I was so passionate about this product
Yeah.
that I just
You're
put
solving
it
your
out.
own problem. Yeah.
I put it out there and thought, let's just see where it goes. Okay. And it's been a real journey in trying to come up with processes that make it better. Like glue has been my number one issue in the beginning, trying to
Glue?
glue. Like what
Tell us
kind of
more.
glue works best to glue
Uh-huh.
foam to wood? What kind of glue works best to glue acrylic to, that kind of thing.
Wow.
But I've perfected the process of making the board, but I can, this isn't it's not a commodity product that some women do own 5, 6, 7 of them, believe it or not, but it's not something you're going to purchase all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it is a finite amount of people, it's like, I'm not going to make $200,000 a year selling beadboards, more than
Okay.
likely. I'd have to hire a lot of staff. So in the beginning, I didn't think about it, that this would be a finite market. But now I'm starting to think, okay, I'm comfortable making the boards. How can I expand my business to start to make more money?
Mm-hmm.
Like what can I offer my people? What can I offer the people that are coming into my store?
Or something adjacent, like directly adjacent.
Yes, exactly.
What does a beadboard sell for? Just to give us a concept of.
So the really small one, which is 8 by 8 inches, starts at $45.
Okay.
And the biggest one, 12 by 18 inches with a drawer, is
Oh yeah,
$175.
we want to sell more of those.
Yeah. So, and they're every price in between. So from $45 to $175.
Do you sell year round? Like, do you see sales come in every month?
Yes,
And are
I
they made
do.
to order, or do you have them ready to go? Or are you
No,
make
they're made to order because there's 3 different options as far as, do they want a drawer or not? Do they
yeah.
want wells or not? What fabric choice do they want? But there are a couple of colors and combinations that are the number one. Like I know if I made a drawer out of this fabric that looked like this in this size, I'm going to sell it within a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So that's one of my goals for this year, is to have those popular boards
Faster
made
turnaround.
and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I can have them ready in the ready to ship section for the people that don't want to wait, because it does take 7 to 10 days
That's
for
not
me
so
to get
bad.
a board out the door, but they are custom made and they're high quality, which is, part of who I am, is that I want a high quality board. One of my reviews said, this is the Rolls Royce of bead boards.
Love that. Put
And
that
I was like,
everywhere.
yes, that's exactly what I'm going for. And I say, I back these boards. If there's anything you don't like about it, if you have any kind of a problem with it, you let me know and I will fix it.
Yeah.
I will send you a new board. I don't want you to have something that you don't like the fabric didn't turn out how you thought it was going to look or whatever. I don't want you to have a board that you don't like or that has an issue with it. I want you to love your board. Like, these boards are a piece of my soul that I put in a box and I send it out to somebody, and I want them to love that board as much as I do.
I love that.
And I feel passionately about that. So,
And I bet you almost never get a complaint because that is your attitude.
rarely does somebody complain,
Uh-huh.
rarely. But if they do, you know, and I will say this to anybody out there: listen to your customers.
Yeah.
Listen to your customers. They will tell you what's wrong with it and what you can do to make it better. Like, if they complain about something, my first reaction is, how can I change it so it's better? Like, how can I fix this to make my board better? And if they complain that they got a bad board, I just got a 2-star review a couple of weeks ago. And
Gut punch.
yeah, yeah, 40, all these 5-star but I read her review and I couldn't one thing I would have argued with her on, but I don't bother. I just messaged her and said, I will send you a new board. Tell me she wasn't happy. One of the things she wasn't happy about was the color of it. I said, you tell me exactly what you want. I will remake a board for you and send it to you. That's what I want. I want you to be happy, not. I wish she would have messaged me with her issues instead of putting
Did
it
she
as a
update her
review.
review?
I'm sorry?
Did she update her review?
She hasn't yet, because I haven't sent her the new board
Okay.
yet.
Oh my gosh, I'll be so curious. You'll have to shoot me an email and let me know what happens.
Yeah.
I'm invested.
Yeah, it's and that's something else. I went to respond to her and I didn't realize, so just so people know, don't
Don't
if
respond
once
to the
you
review.
respond to their review, they can't change it.
Yeah, wait 2 to 3 weeks after she's got the new one, message her and be like, I saw that it arrived. Let me know how you like this one. And I hope I have turned this around for you. That's what I always did. And they, every single time, they change the review. And if they
Yeah.
don't after 2 to 3 weeks, then you comment on it.
Yeah.
And you say something like, I'm so sorry that this didn't go the way both of us hoped it would. I really hope you like your replacement bead board,
Right.
with the specifications you mentioned when we you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you don't, you be careful with your tone so you don't seem condescending. You don't seem like you're just trying to show people that you take care of.
Yeah, that you
Yeah.
take care of any issues that they have. Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Talk to us. So how many, before we started recording, you said that December was really big for you. How many sales did you get in December?
Wow. So it was my best month so far. I
Okay.
did 7,000 and it was about
Wow.
76 orders.
How, are you
Which
still
normal
shipping them? Like, how
I'm
did you
sorry?
do that? Made to order? Like, how did you
Oh,
do
I
that?
know, right? And I got sick. I don't know how I did it, because I got sick. Our 6-year-old grandson came to visit, and I got so sick after he left for 10 days. And I still got all those orders done. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I did it. I do have a helper who comes to help me, and she is the best. I am so lucky to have this woman. She's wonderful. She's more like a business partner than an
Wow.
employee.
That's amazing. How'd you find her?
I had put in back when Facebook Marketplace would let you advertise jobs. I had put an ad in there, and her daughter actually came to work for me that summer. She was out for college, And when she was going back to college, she said, "You know, my mom would kind of like to come work for you." And she says to me, "She's the real crafty one." And I thought, well, if she's craftier than you, then I'm hit the jackpot. Um, so her name is Paula, and she came to work for me, and she's just really amazing, just really amazing. So
Like, do you have her help every month? Like, you have enough business happening that you have her help regularly?
she comes twice a week, 4 hours a day.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
And I could probably have her come, more than that. But it's a trade-off, right, between time and money.
Yes.
So, and when my husband keeps saying, "When are you going to start making some real money with that business of yours?" And it's because you reinvest, in the beginning, you're reinvesting in expanding and things. And so it's like, well, I have to think about if I hire another person, then that's taken money away from this. Anyway, those are
Have you
things.
have you thought about selling a tutorial for it? Like, basically a pattern plus a YouTube video or a video showing someone how they could do it, and you could sell that passively?
Yeah, so I am starting to think about other, I do, like, I sell patterns. I have an ebook that I sell, beating basics.
That's
So
awesome. Do you sell much of those?
I not a lot, not a lot. Probably in a year I probably sell 3 or four thousand
Okay.
dollars worth.
Oh, that
So for
okay, to most people, that's a lot, Linda.
I know. You see, and that's one thing you have to, success for one person
Yes.
is, we all measure success differently,
Because that's
so
passive. You
yes, it is passive, which is great, but I would like to grow that a little
yes.
bit more. It's very passive because I don't promote it that much.
Oh my goodness,
So,
that's
yeah.
so cool. What else do I wanna ask? I would love to know what you would do differently if you started over today.
I would carve out more time for my personal life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm in my husband thinks I'm nuts because I get up in the morning, I feed the dogs. He leaves the house at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to work. And by 8 o'clock, I'm in my studio working, and I'm in there till 7 o'clock at night, 7 days a week, unless it's a day like where, well, I shouldn't say seven, because one day a week I go shopping because the shopping's a half hour away. So it takes me like the
Yes.
whole day to go shopping. But or if I have a doctor's appointment or something. I mean, and I do that because I love it, but I need to carve out more time for doing other stuff that I love to do, like gardening, and to spend more time with him,
Is he
because
retired now?
he's not. We're thinking of retiring this spring. He'll
Wow.
have 5 years. When we moved to South Alabama, he went to work for the VA,
Oh my
the
goodness.
Veterans Administration Clinic in at Fort Novosel here, and he'll have his 5 years in May, which makes him vested.
Okay.
But he's not like me though. I worry about him retiring because he'll just putz around the house all day and be like, at the end of the day, he'll be like, "I don't know where the time went. I didn't get anything done."
Oh, really? Really? He won't be out on the land, like, doing stuff,
Yeah,
or
no, he will, but whereas me, I'm a doer. Like, I've gotta constantly be doing something, constantly. If I'm in the house waiting on him, I'm beating a project. I can't just sit still. I have to constantly be doing something. And so,
so
but
the
yeah,
business is good then. So this is a great fit for you because I'm sitting there thinking I do not want to put that many hours in. Like, I'd be much more interested in creating another passive stream, but you're so passionate about it. Like, how long does it take to make one beadboard?
so in the beginning, when I first started this, it took me 2 days to
No
make a
way.
board. Yeah.
No. For like okay, and then it was like $40 for, and that's that for the small one, and that's after or before supplies, before I keep going.
Yeah, so
I'm
well, 2 days to make the big one with the drawer, and then we have over the really cut down on the process, so it takes about 4 hours now
okay.
to make one with a drawer for 175.
Okay. How long does the 8x8 one take you?
And that takes an hour.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great then.
Yeah, yeah, that takes about
Wow.
an hour. Those we can whip out all day long, but the ones with the drawer take a little bit longer because we're having to build build that. So,
So you just wish you hadn't let your business completely swallow you.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you're saying both things though. You're also like, but I can't sit still. So I've got like you just fill the time with something. What's your favorite part of what you do?
I love it when I get an email. This is why I do it. Like, I'll have a really bad day, something will go wrong, and I'll be yelling. I can't tell you how many times yelling and screaming and crying. I can't do this anymore. I don't know, why do I do this? And then I'll go look at my email, and somebody will have sent me an email that says, I got your board in the mail today, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love it so much. I can't wait to start using it. Thank you so much. And then I'm just like, that's why I do this. That's why I do this, because people love my boards, and I just get such a rush out of hearing that, from people.
The
But
best kind of dopamine hit that there is someone appreciating our hard work, right?
yeah, yeah, that's great. But
What else do I want to? I have so many things I want to ask you, and I know I'm not going to get through all of it. But any really big lessons you've learned so far that would be good to pass down?
things are not always going to go according to plan.
Mhm.
Just count on that. Just count on it being hard. I mean, some people have it easy. Okay. Some people,
I'd love to meet
and
them.
huh? I have a friend, okay? She started an Etsy shop, literally buying yarn on sale at Michael's and reselling it on Etsy.
As supplies, yeah.
Yes. And she was selling four or $5,000 worth of yarn a month.
Okay. Not
And
anymore.
huh?
She stopped. Did she stop?
No, she still is, but I
Okay.
haven't talked to her in about a year, so I don't know
I
how
want the
how
tea.
she's doing it now. And it's easy to look at people like that and think, wow, like, really? Like, it's so easy. All you have to do is take this stuff off the shelf, throw it in a box, and mail it to the customer. So it's easy to look at somebody where you think they've got an easy job of it. Okay. But when you're in a product business and it's a product that you're making, things are going to go wrong. Just learn from it and don't get too overwhelmed or too frustrated. Just learn from it and say, how can I change things so this doesn't keep happening? And then learn from it and move on. Just, I don't know if I'm saying that.
You absolutely are saying it perfectly.
Yeah, it's not all going to be easy. If
Yeah.
it was, everybody out there would be doing it.
All right, guys, if you've been here for a bit, you've probably heard me say that if you want to beat saturation in the biggest Etsy niches, you've got to find a way in by using micro niches. So, a micro niche is a smaller niche within a niche. So, for example, the mom niche is massive, right? And if you get on Etsy as a new seller and try to sell a mom sweatshirt, you're probably never going to get found or even make a sale because the competition is just too crazy. But if you pare down to a micro niche such as like a NICU mom or Catcher mom or Doxy mom, now you're onto something. You have a better chance of penetrating the market because there's still some demand. People are searching for those phrases, but there aren't as many sellers trying to compete in those micro niches. So how do you find them? How do you go about finding a micro niche? One main way that I find them is by using Sales Samurai, which is a third-party tool that gives me SEO clues, like big time. And you can see my YouTube tutorial to try it. There's like a 3-day free trial in the that's available in the show notes link if you like. Look at the video, get the trial, get the discount code. But I've also created for you a free list. I've done the research for you, and it's a list of 100 keywords in various micro niches that all have demand without crazy competition. And you can snag that also in the show notes if you want to get a sneak peek at what the data looks like and how where you can find some areas of opportunity that I have found in my constant SEO research. I hope it helps. And more importantly, I hope it inspires you to hunt for the micro niches because that is your ticket to crazy success on Etsy. How do you overcome that, Linda? How do you, when, I know it really helps to get the positive feedback, but sometimes that, I don't know about you, but I feel like that's pretty pretty rare. I still get good reviews, but I mean the things that really make it. You're not going to get that attaboy every single day. So how do
Right.
you personally keep pushing yourself through? Why don't you,
Just give it
pivot or
up.
throw in the towel or shiny object syndrome? Tell me how you do that.
I think it's because I'm passionate about my boards, and that's why if you pick a niche or a product that you're passionate about, that makes it so much easier to get through the rough times. And if I have to just take a break and come back at it the next day, things will always look better, the next day. I just tell myself, you're going to find an answer to this. You're going to do it.
Everything is figure outable.
Everything is figure outable. I mean, like I said, glue, my number one problem.
Yeah.
I make the drawer fronts out of acrylic, and the drawers are this molded plastic, and trying to find a glue that would glue acrylic to plastic easily and that it would stay. I had to research that and find the right thing. I have researched so much glue, it's unbelievable. Other things that we have found to just make the process easier. So in other words, to do the border where we put the fabric onto the board, we would cut these 1/2 inch strips of cardboard to put along the edge. And Paula kept saying to me, she's so funny, there has to be 1/2 inch cardboard out there somewhere that we can purchase. There just has to be. And we would search and search and search and couldn't find anything. And then one day she comes and she calls me over to her car and she says, come over here and look at this. And she opens up the back of her car, her SUV, and she's got this old chair in there that she pulled out of somebody's trash. And she says, look at this. And around the corner, around the edging of that old chair was this 1/2 inch cardboard, just exactly like what we needed. She goes, there it is. I knew it was going to be out there somewhere. And so then we look, and upholsterers, you can buy from an upholstery shop this 1/2 inch cardboard in these great big huge rolls.
Oh my gosh.
That's what they use it for, the same thing. But who knew? And so I can't tell you how much easier that made it for us not to have to cut cardboard into 1/2 inch strip with a knife.
Incredible.
Now it's just,
Okay,
there it
props
is,
to
a big
Paula
roll.
for needing to paint that whole picture, though. She couldn't just come over and be like, I figured it out. It's upholsterers. She had to lug that chair out to your farm to be like, look, you gotta. I'm just like, she's good people. I love that. What a
Yeah.
boss.
So I mean, so many things you just kind of fall into, and you just, everything is figure outable. You just have to sometimes take a deep breath and say, I'm not gonna panic over this. We're just gonna figure it out.
So we've probably maybe overwhelmed some people thinking about this right now, being like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so hard. Do you have any like beginner tips, things that might encourage someone who's feeling a little nervous to take those first steps, that kind of thing?
You're not gonna get anywhere. You're not gonna be successful if you don't start.
Yeah.
Like, just start. Put something, come up with an idea, find a niche. Lizzie has so many podcasts on how to do that, how to search through Etsy and figure out if your niche is a good one, and just put a few things out there. I mean, it's you're not going to get anywhere if you don't just start somewhere.
Yeah. And
And
done is better than perfect.
always done it. I mean, back when websites, were first coming out, I can't remember what kind of a website I was trying to create. And my husband back then said to me, don't get caught up in trying to design the perfect website, because nobody cares. People don't care if it's a blue website, a purple website, or a green website. You know, that can always be tweaked and changed. What you need is just the information out there, and let the people come to it. They're not going to say, oh, this, I don't like this website because it's blue instead of green, and leave it. No. So I think of some of the stuff on Etsy or even on a website where that you've gone to and you thought, oh my goodness, these people really need to change the way this looks. Did you just leave, or did you keep looking at what the item was? Did you go ahead and at least look at it and think about purchasing it? Probably you did. You didn't just say, oh, I'm not going to look at this because it's a terrible website.
Especially if it's really niche down. If it's like there's a million choices, then I'm moving on. But if it's something so specific and they're answering the exact thing I'm looking for, then I'm ignoring the aesthetic.
Yes, exactly.
You can always level up. Like, it's always better to make it, to improve it, but it just shouldn't stop you from starting, right?
Right, exactly. You can always learn, and by putting it out there, you'll start to collect data on what's working and what's not working. If you don't have anything there, you don't know. You don't have any data. Are people clicking on your product versus not clicking on your product? I mean, that makes a big difference. If they're not clicking on your product, then you need to change your photo that's showing up in the search results. But if they're clicking on it and they're not purchasing it, well, now you need to think about, what does your listing itself look like? You don't have any of that data if you don't at least have something up there and running. But yeah, you're not gonna make any money just sitting here researching things on the computer all day long and not actually getting anything out there to sell.
It's the analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I would say this, like, for your photos, for your product photos, err on the side of too little. Like, Linda having a picture of her product on a totally white background is better than having a picture of her product in a super busy background, because that's just going to cause confusion. So for the photos, err on the side of minimalist. And then for everything else, for your descriptions, for like the actual information you include in the photo gallery, for your FAQs, err on the side of too much information. Just make it look neat and tidy. So like, use bullet points in your description rather than big blocks of text. Use emojis to space them, just to make it a little easier for the customer to consume. So like, those are two little tips to help. Like, if you're just spinning in analysis about what to do, those are two things that can really help. Where do we find you, Linda? How do we follow you? How do we stay connected? How do we continue the conversation online?
So my website is beadboardenvy.com for the bead boards. My Facebook page is Come Bead With Me, which is also my blog website is comebeadwithme.com for everything about beading jewelry. So that has patterns, tutorials, and my bead boards on that website as well. And then Pinterest is Bead with Linda.
Oh, nice. Bead with Linda. I didn't have that one. Amazing. I just want to thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today and chat and share all of this. I think there are so many little golden nuggets throughout our chat that'll hopefully encourage and help someone new. And especially, like, I really love supporting the physical product space, because there's not as much content for them these days. There's not as many stories. And so thank you for your labor of love that you do every single day, and for being willing to share your insights with us.
Thank you so much.
Did you have fun?
I did. Yes. Thank you.
You recommend coming on as a guest, or is it terrifying?
It was terrifying at first, but you make it so easy to do. Yes. It's great. It's great.
Well, I'm thrilled we got to do this. Thank you, Linda. You guys, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you spending this time with me. Go check out Linda's site, support her any way that you can. And until next week, go make something awesome. I'll talk to you soon. And that's a wrap on this episode of How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're looking for more resources, head on over to howtosellyourstuff.com, where you'll find podcast show notes, all the links from today's episode, the blog, courses, coaching, and more. If this episode was helpful to you, awesome. The greatest compliment I can receive from you is a rate, review, and subscribe on this podcast. Not only will it allow us to connect again on a future episode, it lets me know I'm providing you with value and helps other people find this content more easily. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support. Have a great day and see you next time.